You know, you're a pretty cool looking lady. You really messed up my plans for in between episode farming. What's up everyone? This is French Bread's Dark Souls 3 Lorerun. I am French Bread, or Chris if you prefer. And I just came back to Firelink to handle a few errands, and had totally forgotten that this NPC shows up when we do. Fearing that she would, and let's be real, she probably would. Fearing that she would disappear if I didn't speak to her now, I decided to just start up the next episode and I'll deal with my planned farming next time. So this is really, I don't know what you, I guess it'll come down to personal preference, but to me this chick looks badass. This fucking silvery armor, and the chain drape she has over her shoulders. I don't know. I really like the design of this character. And I knew it the moment I saw this character the first time. As soon as I saw this character, I'm like, oh, it's going to be Lucatiel 2.0. Let's go, let's have a conversation with her, though.
You're an unkindled, aren't you? I am Cirrus, of the Sunless Realms, former servant of the divinity. Duties we each bear, but one's duty is a solitary affair. I doubt we've much to gain from fraternization. Blessing of the moon upon your journey. I doubt we've much to gain from blessing of...
Well, she doesn't have a lot for us right now, but she does drop a few very cool lore tidbits. Cirrus of the Sunless Realms. I'm not entirely sure what the Sunless Realms are. If I had to make a guess, speculate if you will, I would say that perhaps the Sunless Realms are lands where the flame is already, like the fading of the flame is already being felt in a more pronounced way, and perhaps for them it's already like become a realm of dark, and naturally in such a circumstance the moon would become like kind of a surrogate symbol of worship to the sun. That's one idea. I guess there could be others, but given their adoration for the moon, and what was it, the old divinity, I have to assume that it's not like some sort of underground place, not that kind of sunless, because obviously they're seeing the sky somehow. And just by looking at her, we see that S-Talk at her side, old divinity, blessings of the moon, and kind of the look of her armor. This woman screams Gwendolyn, the Dark Sun, one of the children of Gwyn, he who was kind of born more in alignment to the moon than the sun, and was raised as a daughter as a result. I think we can draw some pretty clear parallels here with the appearance of Cirrus and what she said. But we can't get any more until later on in the game, but definitely a good start with that. Speaking of sunless and dark and all that other stuff, I forgot to mention on the red eye orb it refers to a tiny land swallowed by darkness long ago. I'm of the opinion that this is almost certainly referring to New Londo, the kingdom of the four kings swallowed by the dark through their own actions. That's just what seems to fit to me, because New Londo was known as kind of like the birthplace of the Dark Wraiths, and we ganked a Dark Wraith to get that sphere, or that orb, so would seem to follow. But since I cannot do what I was going to do originally in Firelink Shrine, thanks to Cirrus's appearance, Then I'm
Welcome
gonna
home,
level
speaker.
up
Very
and
well.
then head
Then
right
talk
back
like man.
out. It's worth it to talk to Cirrus though. Let me just think about this real quick. Yeah, we'll go about this far in our leveling up.
Farewell, Ashen One. May the
I got reasons. Get back to the halfway fortress. Uh, last time we met with Henri and Horace. As you're gonna see, they've since moved on from this location, presumably continuing their quest to hunt down Aldrich. Um, and if you recall, Henri had said, you know, below us is the Crucifixion Woods. Oh boy. And then there's Fair and Keep, and then the Cathedral of the Deep. That's a little misleading, honestly. It makes it... There we go. It implies that the cathedral is sort of like along a linear path, and that through due course we will do Fair and Keep before we get to the cathedral. Um, but actually, at this point in the game, we're going to reach our first obvious branching path. We'll phrase it that way. As you can see, this has the trappings of a swamp, but not the kind of swamp veteran Souls players loathe and fear. Not just yet, anyway. Let's hop down here. Claim what's ours. These dudes, these undead, with sharpened tree branch. Is it even correct to call these tree branches? They're more like full-on trees. They're kind of an asshole enemy. They can, if they charge, or especially if they gang up on you, they can reduce you to 0 HP in a very short amount of time. So it's very important to observe the environment around you, you know, have some situational awareness, and to also, actually I'll leave this guy alive for the moment, to also not get greedy and not like fall into a trap or anything like that. Don't let yourself get ganged up on. This enemy, however, hella bloodborne, seems to be wearing the the Crucifixion Woods title very well, or representing it at least very well. These little bug duders, enemies present in Dark Souls 2. I don't even remember what those things are, except that they're kind of goofy, kind of creepy looking. They emit poison, and they're very easy to deal with. But it kind of makes sense to see them here in a swamp. You usually associate these with poisonous areas. That scream is very definitely a reused asset from Bloodborne. Ooh, a giant crystal lizard. But naturally, does not open from this side. So it goes. What we can access from this side is a bit of nostalgia in the form of, let's get our handy binoculars out, a black knight, an unmistakable black knight. These guys used to be among Gwyn's legions who battled the flames of chaos, the demons, and as a result their armor became scorched black. They all wield these large, massive weapons because they were having to fight enemies much larger than themselves. Uh, so let's just get right to taking this dude out. No backstab from me. I didn't really deserve it. As you can see, by the way, it does not look like my sword did a whole lot of damage. That makes a certain amount of sense, given that the Black Knights had to deal with fiery demons all the time. Not sure what he's doing out here. I suppose they continued even after the end of previous ages to wander the land, search of foes to slay. Maybe because I'm all crispy, they think I'm a demon. Gotta say, the stability of this shield is pretty nice, even though we do take some damage from using it. Black Knight Helm. The least interesting piece of the armor for me that I could have got. But let's take a look at it anyway. Armor of the Black Knights, who roam the lands. The knights who served the first Lord Gwyn and followed him into the flame upon its linking. They became ash, but still wander the realms to this day. Actually, a lot of people, myself included, assumed they were all charred and burned because of the linking of the fire, and I don't know, maybe that's true for some of the Black Knights who followed Gwyn, but there were items in Dark Souls 1 that made it very explicit that their armor was blackened through their confrontations with demons. There's a problem with this helmet, though. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing the problem? This was the same deal in Dark Souls 1 with the Black Knight or the Silver Knight helms. Your head contorts to fit the helm, no matter what. So it looks, unless you've got the full set on, you look goofy as hell with it on. Which is why I mentioned it was the most useless item we could have gotten for ourselves. What's a good item, though, is the Farron Coal, used for weapon infusion. Long ago, used for... I guess that's a little awkward of a phrasing. Long ago, used to forge the great swords of the undead legion of Farron. Give to the blacksmith in the shrine to allow the use of gems for heavy, sharp, and poison infusion. So that's a good deal. Certainly glad to have it. Not a ton of lore, but I guess there wasn't a whole lot of lore to go around for that one. And now we're forced to venture out into the swamp itself, and I'm sure you can see this bad situation we have to deal with. I do not like the curbs. Do seem to like fire less than the Black Knights, though. Good news for us. Oh, shit. This area with kind of like the, get our visceral attack in. This area with like kind of the deeper water and the peat, or like the lilies and the leaves lying on top. As you can see, we have slower mitigated movement while in it. And we roll as if we were fat, or overweight, I should say. It gave us a great swamp ring, but as you're seeing, I started the game with one of those since I started as a pyromancer. So, nothing new for us there. What we do get, though, is Conjurator equipment and a great swamp pyromancy tome. I'm not going to delve further into that, though, because as you can see, we just got invaded. Yep. Yellowfinger Hazel, wearing what I can only call a most distinctive headgear. She is also using a ring that has an effect identical to the Thieves' Ring from Demon Souls, where at a certain distance you become completely invisible and you're not able to be targeted by other players. As you can see, she's a bit of a caster. Got any more healing? Yeah, go ahead. I'll allow it. And I don't know if you're noticing or not, but she is casting through the pick she's wielding. So that pick, we can tell, serves as both a catalyst and a weapon. Oops. Bye-bye. See you later, Hazel. And we are gifted with the Xanathos crown and the Hazel pick. Sorry, little crab. Yeah. We're getting a crap ton of items right away, aren't we? But we are in just a patently unsafe area to be looking at them. So we're going to have to do one of our classic item roundups later. After we deal with crab number 2. He's taking his time, might add. Ooh. They're sly opponents, crabs. Masters of combat. And we'll take our visceral, please. There's a large number of enemies in the game who you can score these kind of critical attacks, or visceral attacks if you want to use the Bloodborne terminology. It's not always obvious. Sometimes they're just stunned and you can hit them, but sometimes you can get that extra little counterattack thing going. Grass Crest Shield. Another classic weapon from Dark Souls 1. I don't know if it returned for 2 or not, though. There's more going on over there if you see them in the distance. We don't wanna fuck with that just yet. We wanna explore more of the first part of this swamp, these woods. Honestly, remember what I was saying about not getting jacked by these guys? Furthermore, get our backstab. But furthermore, retreating directly back like I did is actually not a great idea when you're dealing with these guys, especially when they're in a charge. Just because of the way their weapons are shaped. They're very long and they're going to be very good at kind of chasing you down, so you need to adopt different tactics. Instead of just rolling away, you need to roll to the side. Try to get out of the way in that manner. I felt him. It wasn't just that I got lucky. I knew he was coming. My new type senses tingled. If I were ambitious, I'd edit in a sound effect there. We'll see. We'll see if I'm ambitious or not. Will not complain to see more Titanite shards. A whole bunch of them swarmed around this body. We don't mind. Got a sweeping weapon. Oh! By the way, that bright red meter there, or not red, bright purple meter there, I do believe that indicates that what's building up is not poison, but toxic, which is a more severe, advanced form of poison that we really don't want to have to deal with. Gotta watch our surroundings here because there are these tree men hidden all over the place. A lot of them aren't particularly hostile or don't make a whole lot of movements until they're right on you. Let's see if we can get this guy taken out. See, dodge to the side. We had a little bit better time with it. A little less stressful than when we are just dodging madly backwards. Is there another one? Ooh, Twin Dragon Great Shield. I'm interested in that. I've been wanting to try the power of Great Shields for myself. To date, I have never ever played a Dark Souls build that uses Great Shield, so I was thinking of doing that with Ronnie here. Alright, I think we've sufficiently cleared out this immediate area, which makes me want to take a look at this shield. The lightest of all great shields, made from wood and decorated with a two-headed dragon. Great shields are the largest type of shield and offer both high stability and damage absorption, making it easy to deflect enemy attacks. And goodness gracious, this doesn't have any more physical resistance than our War God wooden shield does. And it's not as good against fire or dark damage, but it does have 6 more points of stability on it at a cost of 3 more weight units. And we don't get to use our weapon skill. We are stuck doing a shield bash. And our feet clip right through the shield on hills. I want to use great shields, but we ain't using that great shield. I don't like the trade-off. I don't think there's a lot of value in that. Unlike this War God shield, which I feel like offers a lot of strong incentives for the downside of not blocking 100% damage. I feel like the Twin Dragon's Great Shield just doesn't get us there. What the hell? Is that a summon sign? Alright, y'all, I'm seeing something I ain't never seen before. By the way, I don't know if it seems impressive to you or not, but my having been able to block the full charge of both of those with this shield is pretty impressive. Who the hell is this? This is a Mad Phantom. Will you summon? I don't know. Who is it? It's friggin' Hodrick. I had no idea. That's interesting. That's interesting. Shit. I'm not going to do it just yet. I need to... I don't think there's any reason why I can't. But this is a lore run. And I don't want to fuck with any quest triggers because I summoned Hodrick willy-nilly. And screwed something up for later. So we're going to... In between episodes, I'm going to research that. And we're going to... hopefully be able to do it, because that's cool. That's actually really cool, and I had no idea it existed. Well, let's light this bonfire. Conspicuously close to the other bonfire. I suppose this will let us dodge the hassle of moving through all those tree-wielding folks. Fair enough, I guess. And while we have those large crabs dead, because... yes, they will respawn. I'm going to take advantage of this relative freedom to grab a few items from the swamp itself. As well as take out these wee crabs. So this structure up here we're going to be investigating in probably the next episode. But for the time being we can go underneath it and check out what's going on here. Oh man. Another one of these dudes. Ah. So, you see I was all set to R1 spam this guy to death. but he kind of got the drop on me by using that quick backstep attack to get out of my range and then get back in my face. So they're not completely helpless. Not everything is completely helpless to an R1 spam, but they're pretty weak to it, but every now and then they'll find a way around it. So we just got a ring and some robes, and I promise you we'll look at them in a bit. After I sate my crab killing desire. I feel like crab should have been a consumable in this game, don't you? Alright, let's see if we can maybe grab this item without irritating that big guy over there. Sure enough. Alright. Feeling pretty good then. Let's do one more sweep. And after that, yeah, I think we got everything there is to get. So we're going to head back to that new bonfire, and we're going to, I think, warp ourselves back to Firelink. And if we have time, yeah, we have time. We'll do our item roundup at the end of the episode instead of the beginning this time. I'd go all the way into that fortress, but now I really wanna be able to summon Hodrick, as long as it's permissible by the quest chains. I suppose while we're here, we can poll some of the inhabitants, see if they have anything new to say. Yeah, let's do that first. I know she doesn't, unfortunately.
The undead legion of Farum is a caravan of undead, sworn by wolf's blood to contain the abyss. The legion will bury a kingdom at the first sign of exposure. Joyous bunch, really. Gaining admission to the legion is a matter of some ceremony. Inside their keep, snuffing out the flames of 3 altars opens the door to the wolf blood. Even accursed undead want to believe they're special, it seems. I pity the sorry souls. Gaining admission to the even accursed undead.
Alright, so Crespro seems to have a very in-depth knowledge of the Undead Legion, doesn't he? And it's very interesting. What he called it? A caravan of undead who are constantly on watch for the abyss and will bury a kingdom at the first signs of exposure. And also a reference to wolf's blood. I'm feeling confident that at this point, with having seen those, we caught a glimpse of them in the opening cutscene. We see their swords there. Now we're hearing about, they're called the Abyss Watchers. We're hearing about wolf's blood. I think the writing's on the wall, you guys, that these knights have some sort of connection with Artorias, the famous knight of Lord Gwyn, who was reputed to have combated and halted the spread of the abyss in Ulasil. Players of Dark Souls 1 know that that was false. It was in fact the player character through timey-wimey shenanigans who had halted the abyss, but Artorias is still quite a badass nevertheless, and his legacy endures even to this day. Let us see about some of the new items we picked up, though. Looks like nothing new in our regular stuff. No new gems or stones. Aha! Oh, it is new. Great Swamp Pyromancy Tome. Pyromancy Tome from the Great Swamp, containing advanced pyromancies. give to the old master pyromancer to learn advanced pyromancies of the Great Swamp. Is it just me, or are these two lines really redundant? Spells of the Great Swamp are passed down from master to pupil. Without a master, there is no pupil. But without a pupil, there is also no master. What did I just say about being redundant? I mean, whatever. I get it, but it's it's a little much, right? We also picked up, oh, in the last episode we actually picked up these brigand weapons. I neglected to talk about those. These paired daggers are the preferred weapons of the brigands of a distant land. When two-handed, the wielder holds a blade in each hand, allowing for divergent attacks that include left-handed moves. Seems cool, but that's not the build we're in. Brigand Axe. Axe favored by brigands of a distant land. Surprisingly sturdy axe that requires more strength to wield than a standard axe. Riveting stuff. Sellsword Twin Blades. And these are the starting weapon of the mercenary class? Yeah. Paired scimitars used by certain sellswords. The scimitar's sharp blades make for effective slashing attacks, but fare poorly against metal armor and tough scale-covered hides. With a scimitar in each hand, the wielder can vary their onslaught with the unique left-handed attacks when in the proper stance. Sure. Here's the interesting one, though. Choice weapon of Yellow Finger Hazel, a Finger of Rosaria, and a Xanathos Scholar. This is both a weapon and a sorcery staff. The gold specks are remnants of lost sorceries. You need actually a rather decent amount of intelligence to use that. But Xanathos Scholar, huh? Now, we could assume from the finger in her title that she was a Finger of Rosaria, much like Ringfinger Leonard. But the Xanathos part is very interesting because in Dark Souls 1 there's an NPC invader called Jeremiah Xanathos King, or Xanthos King. I'm adding an A there. Xanthos King. He was a pyromancer, more or less, and he wore yellow clothing and a large yellow turban. Similar to, though, somewhat different from this one. The Xanathos crown, it's very hard not to say Xanathos, thanks to certain children's cartoon shows. Xanthos crown. Crown supposedly made in imitation of a divine creature of Ulasil, land of ancient golden sorceries. Xanthos clothing is the mark of a researcher of lost sorceries, and the oversized crown is emblematic of their work. Such a curious pursuit is surely nothing to be ashamed of. So here we go. This is kind of a lore drop on the Xanthos scholars and Xanthos in general. They were researchers of the sorceries of Ulasil. Sorceries that were, I suppose, more or less lost with the land of Ulasil, and that we had a unique insight into in Dark Souls 1 because we were able to rescue Dusk of Ulasil, who had been sort of trapped out of time. But by the time we even rescued Dusk in Dark Souls 1, the kingdom, or the land of Ulasil, had long since, perished or been ruined. So even in this modern era, people are still searching for the sorceries of Ulasil, which are being described here as golden, which also ties into the golden specks on Hazel's pick. So that's interesting. I guess King Jeremiah was a Xanthos scholar. He didn't use sorceries, though. He used pyromancies, but nevertheless, it's still an interesting discovery. And we'll be seeing a bit more about the Xanthos scholars and a bit more about Hazel later. And sorry about that. just checking our time, because there are a lot of items to go through and not a lot of time to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and focus on the more important or notable item drops we found, and then I'll catch up on the rest in the next episode. Sage Ring. A ring given to Farron's undead legion by one of the Preacher twins, known more commonly as the Crystal Sages. Shortened spell casting time. The sorcerers of Farron's Abyss Watchers were known to be lonesome warriors who would only rely upon more pragmatic spells. I guess it was considered lonesome to rely only on practical, pragmatic means as opposed to pursuing sorcery as both an art form and a path of studious learning. They were only interested in using it as tools to combat the abyss. But very interesting mention here of the Preacher twins, the Crystal Sages. We know from Dark Souls 1 that crystal sorceries are, linked with Seath, the Pale Drake, the dragon, and also, to some degree, with Big Hat Logan. He was an NPC in Dark Souls 1 and probably the most accomplished sorcerer of his time, although he was not, as it often is the case, not very well received during his time. We'll be looking into this just a little bit later, but apparently at least one of the Crystal Sages believed in the Undead Legion's cause of combating the Abyss. Alright. I do believe that does it for the items I want to describe just right now. I want to hand over a few of the items we picked up, and then I think we're going to call it there, and then at the beginning of the next episode we'll kind of look at the more small, minutia-oriented items. So first, let's give Andre this coal.
Well, Matt, 'tis good to see what needs.
Yeah. You have anything to tell us, do you?
Infusing weapon. Believe me.
Nope. No, he doesn't. That's fine.
Oh, my. This coal is from the Undead Legion, used to forge the weapons of Farron's Abyss Watchers. A fine prize. I'm honored to be endued with it. Now I'll be equipped to infuse special gems. Praise the gods, eh? Time to put this brawn to use.
So it's a small point, but I guess it bears pointing out that Andre had a great respect, or some level of respect, I should say, for the Undead Legion and what they did. Oh, we still need more shards to get it there. I'll see if there's anything I can do about that in between episodes, guys, but I'm not sure if there will be.
Pretty be good.
Next, we got a prize for old Cornix here. Old crow buddy.
Ah, there you are, unkindled iron.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll need a pyramid.
Okay. Just making sure you didn't have anything else to say before I handed over this tome to him.
Yes, here we are. It's been long indeed. With this, I can teach you more sophisticated pyromancies. Splendid. I can boast I am your tutor a little longer.
Gordix might be a weirdo who brings animal corpses into my shrine, but I do like him. He's got an eagerness to him despite his age, and despite the fact that he's a character in Dark Souls. See if he has anything new to say.
If you seek pyromancy tomes, take this sage advice. The lands of the Lords converge upon Lothric. The home of pyromancy's drifts comparatively close as well. At least, that is what pyromancers of the Great Swamp believe. The place is called Izalith. Oh, how I wish to behold a primal pyromancy. Well, these are old tales. No one knows where the truth begins or ends.
Well now, were we wanting any more fuel to our world convergence theory? He literally says lands that converge on Lothric. Yes, you could interpret it that they converge in Lothric in the sense that they are situated around it. But then he also speaks of the land of the origin of pyromancy, Izalith, drifting comparatively close. A land that drifts? Yeah, it seems like Lothric is sort of a nexus of the lands of lords. Maybe in response to the fading of the fire, the end of the world, this location draws in heroes and their lands by the fact that the heroes are located in said lands. It draws them into itself in order to facilitate the linking of the fire. Just wild speculation there, but sounds pretty cool, right? It's pretty it's a pretty interesting world where it's willing to just drag an entire landmass over to like this focal point just to get a Lord of Cinder into the vicinity. But let's take a look at what he's selling now. Bursting Fireball, Poison Mist, and Profuse Sweat. I don't think he sells any new items. No.
Not begot what is a teacher.
We will read up on those in the next episode, but first, like I said, I just want to drop these items off and then wrap up.
Oh, Champion of Ash, welcome back. Do you wish to hear a tale?
I do wish to hear a tale. Let's see. How about this right here?
Oh, you've brought me a Braille Divine Tome. Now I can tell new tales of miracles. Tales of the greater miracles can be quite the epics. What fun we will have.
Well, no lore, but I guess she's kind of cute? Anyway. What does that get us? Medium heal, Tears of Denial, and Force. I believe those are the new additions to our list.
Have
Like
a pleasant journey, Champion, I pray.
Yeah, like the rest, we'll discuss it next time. I think that's gonna about do it for this episode. But there is one thing I know people from last episode are probably wondering when I'm gonna get to. Alright, fine. Let's take a look at it now. This item just mysteriously showed up in our inventory all of a sudden. We didn't pick it up, that's for sure. And apparently we can hold 1 of 8. Huh. Dark Sigil. A black gaping hole in the flesh that resembles the brand of an undead. The darkness of humanity seeps from this bottomless pitch-black hole, the gap filled by the accumulation of the curse. This dark sigil will never heal, but there is a tale told of a firekeeper who returned from the abyss, and brought great comfort to a bearer of the curse. Dark Sigil. Y'all don't think... Well, just have to ponder on that for a while. But until next time, I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys and hope you'll join me again. Have a good one, y'all.